Devi Priya. Huh?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So how are you feeling today?
I'm very happy and excited to speak here.
Okay, good. And tell us something about yourself.
Ma'am, I'm coming from Trivandrum in Alappuzha district of Kerala. I have completed my graduation of BSc Honours Agriculture and post-graduation in Development Studies, and I am currently working as an assistant in the bail application section of High Court of Kerala.
Bail application.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, very good, very interesting. And any hobby or something you have?
Yes, ma'am. My hobbies are diary writing and reading Malayalam short stories and novels.
You write or you read?
Ma'am, I read Malayalam short stories and novels, and other hobby is diary writing.
Diary
writing.
Yes.
So, any famous diary writer you know? Somebody who wrote a diary which became world famous?
It is Anne Frank, the
You have
diary
read-
of Anne Frank.
You have read her this thing?
No, ma'am, I
You
have
have
not.
not read. Okay. For diary writing, what are the important things which you do?
Ma'am, the main thing I do is kind of self-introspection. I analyze the different patterns of my action. It helped me to unlearn and relearn new things.
So, self-introspection.
Yes, ma'am.
So, do you correct yourself after that?
Yes, ma'am.
What type of correction you have brought to yourself?
For example, the changing response, emotional control, and
So, you think these things are good for a civil servant? Like, suppose you take emotion control. Is it a good thing for a civil servant?
yes, ma'am, definitely.
How will it help you?
Because we could think more logically without getting so much emotional, as well as at the same time, it will help us to develop empathy, to listen to others properly.
If you look at governance in Kerala,
Yes.
what are the two strengths and two weaknesses of Kerala government?
Ma'am, the primary strength, it is the investment in the social infrastructure, that is health and education sector,
Yeah.
and also the investment in social justice schemes, like the welfare measures, like food distribution system that is being provided.
We are talking about food distribution. So, in food distribution now there is one nation, one ration. So, one nation, one ration scheme. Have you heard about it?
Yes, ma'am.
Suppose you have to implement that scheme. Suppose you are a DM of a district and you have been asked to implement. What is the improvement you like to bring in? One ration, one nation, one ration scheme.
Now, one improvement that I will do is I will try to introduce a coupon system. For example, we could issue food coupons instead of providing the direct food.
No, that is the
products.
entire policy. I am only asking about the one nation, one ration scheme is there.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
am asking in that scheme, if you are a DM, how will you change or how will you improve upon that? Changing the entire thing is not in your hand. Coupon system is not in your hand. So, in that scheme, what is the change you can bring?
Ma'am, I will take a proper data of different migrant laborers that are in the district, and based on that proper data, I will allocate the grains. For example, one current lacuna that is identified in the system is that sometimes due to shifting of people, some ration shop will have surplus while others have deficit. So if we have a proper data on a district-wise level or micro level, we could ensure that all the persons who are reaching there will get food.
May I interrupt you for a moment?
Yes,
Ms.
ma'am.
Priya, since you were speaking of migrants, and I was dealing with migrants not very long ago. Are you supplying PDS grains, food grains to migrants in Kerala?
Ma'am, I am not properly aware of that, but I think there are provisions now to provide food grains.
To migrants as well, who come from other states?
I am not sure about that.
Okay. Please go on.
Yeah. So, information system you will improve. This is what we are saying, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
So, migration information is one thing. How will you collect that?
Ma'am, we should use the help of the local self-governing bodies to collect the basic data at the micro level.
Okay. You have also done agriculture as a subject.
Yes, ma'am.
So, agriculture production, has it come down in Kerala or has it gone up?
Ma'am, actually it has increased. In Kerala, the rice production, there is a marginal increase, and also in the production of vegetables, Kerala has achieved about 70% self-sufficiency, and there is also improvement in the production of other horticultural crops like exotic fruits Like we are now focusing more on rambutan, durian, etc. So when we compare a 50-year period, there is a substantial increase in the production as well as productivity in Kerala.
But the data says that about 42% people only are engaged in agriculture now.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
why this is happening? How can you bring back people to agriculture?
Ma'am, one of the reasons is that the decrease in the available land due to fragmentation due to land reformation laws as well as decline in the joint family system. Then due to population pressure, there is a high cost of land. So people think instead of going for farming, if they sell their property to a real estate dealer, they will get a better amount than farming. Other thing is the irregularities due to climate change. The farmers are facing lot of crop
No,
losses.
but I am
But
asking
she's asking you the remedial measures.
remedial
Yeah,
measure. We know the problem. So how they can come back? One is that you are saying they are getting better remuneration, that's why they are going.
Okay, ma'am.
Second point maybe, what are the other, like climate change you are saying again and again, there is a climate change issue. So how do you bring back people to agriculture?
Yes,
This is
ma'am.
what I am asking.
Currently, Kerala government has initiated a policy V2 into farming in order to attract youngsters and school students into the farming, and also there is ICR policy to attract youth into the
We
farming.
are aware, I am
activity.
asking you, suppose you are the agriculture commissioner of Kerala
Okay.
and you have this problem of people going away from food. How do you bring back people? Policies are there, how do you implement it properly? Give one or two examples of that.
We could encourage homestead level farming by a proper supply of the agricultural inputs like grow bags and other accessories to the urban areas as well. So it will encourage to start, it will break that starting block.
Okay.
Even
Is
say your
production-
own.
Is production alone sufficient for farmers?
Sorry,
What is the key bottleneck for farmers?
ma'am, one thing is the uncertainty due to climate change as well as the
They,
lack.
they are producing.
Yes, ma'am.
70% you yourself said, there are 70%.
Then what happens?
Yeah, then what happens?
When there are problems in marketing, they are not getting proper prices.
So what will you do to address that?
We should create an integrated market. We should create more online platforms.
No, already ENAMs and all are there. Platforms are already there. So better integration perhaps, isn't it?
Yes,
This is what you are saying. What about seeds and other inputs? Are they getting it?
Yes, ma'am. The farmers are getting enough seeds, but most of them are sticking on to the traditional varieties. They should be encouraged to take new crop varieties. For example, in the Kutanad region, they cultivate the medium-term varieties. But if they go for short-term seed varieties, it will help them to harvest the crop earlier and to prevent this shock of sudden rains that is coming.
Dilip, I am going to take you away from agriculture. Is that okay? Okay. Away from that comfort zone, from dairies and agriculture, right? I am going to ask you about infrastructure, right? And for my question, there is no right or wrong answer. So you need not worry about giving me a wrong answer. I just am interested to know how you understand the issue and how you articulate your reply, right? Now let us say you are the managing director of an infrastructure development corporation. Do you have an infrastructure development corporation in Kerala?
Yes,
Are
ma'am.
you able to hear me, or should I take off my mask?
No, ma'am, I am able to.
Okay. Okay, even if you don't, you'll have one shortly, right? Every state is now coming up with an infrastructure corporation. Now let us say there are 3 projects in your annual plan. Okay. One is a temple with a cultural center attached. The second is a coastal highway running the length of Kerala from Kasaragod to Trivandrum along the coast with rest stops, with shopping, the kind which you have overseas, right? The third is a university, right? And you have 3 options. A turnkey project, you have 3 implementation options. You can either have a turnkey project which is paid for by the state and executed by a contractor. You can have a PPP, or you can have a fully private venture. Which option will you choose for which project and why? Should you want me to repeat?
Yes,
Yeah? 3 types of projects, 3 projects. One is a temple with a cultural center attached. A coastal highway which connects the far ends of Kerala. And the third is university. These are the 3 projects that you have. You have 3 methodologies or options to implement them. One is a turnkey project, which is a conventional project. Government will pay, contractor will execute. Second is a PPP, public-private partnership. And the third is a completely privatized venture. I want to know which option you will choose for which project and why you will choose those particular options. There is no right or wrong answer. I am just interested in what you think.
For the coastal highway, I will opt for the PPP project, and for the temple, I will opt for the private investment, and for the university, I will opt for the third one, that is government funding implemented by the contractor.
Why?
Because the PPP model of a coastal highway, I think it will be more efficient.
Why?
Because the private firms, they invest the funds and they could more efficiently implement that project.
Then why
delays.
PPP? Why not a private venture fully? If you feel for a private firms will do better, why a PPP?
Ma'am, because if the government is there, the land allocation, it will be more easier.
Okay, right, go on.
And for the temple project, it could be done by a private firm. They could invest more and attract more tourists to that particular area. That is why I have chosen it. And
And you feel government cannot do that?
Yes, ma'am, but government could focus more.
All our temples today are actually government owned. Most Hindu temples. There are very few private temples in India. Most of them are endowment department temples. So you feel that government is not doing a very good job of managing the temples?
Not because of that, ma'am. Because when I compare the temple and the educational institute, I think the government should focus more on that educational institute because it will bring more social returns as well.
This is a temple with a cultural center attached, if you remember the question.
Yes, ma'am. It will attract the tourists. So
if
it is a private investment, it could be more efficiently managed.
So you are in favor of privatizing Hindu temples?
Not, ma'am. It is a temple with a tourist attraction center. So the private firms, they could bring more activities to attract the tourists to that area.
Okay, go on.
If government focus more on investing on educational sector, it will definitely bring social progress.
Okay, and what about the other, the third project?
Coastal road.
No, coastal road she already said. The temple, the coastal road, and I myself forgot, university.
Yes, ma'am. It should be funded by the government and implemented by the contractor.
That is what she said, that it's a social.
It will help in bringing more social returns to the society.
Okay. So the university you feel will be funded by the government and implemented by a contractor.
Yes.
That is your view.
Yes.
I really appreciate your clarity of thought. Very good.
Thank you.
Because if you look at experience also, you look at what is happening, all our highways are actually in a PPP mode. And for the reasons that you said. I would only advise you regarding the temple. You can always, there is no straight answer as she said. There is no right or wrong. So, but there are varying kinds of temples.
Sure, we
right?
can give her this, while we are giving her this. Now you can ask her some questions. Once we are doing the, how she should go about it, then you can.
I'm
You can
Kalpana.
ask her questions.
ma'am, 2015.
I was part of actually asking her or explaining to her, it doesn't matter actually.
No. Why I'm saying, while we are giving her feedback, that time if you tell her, then she can note it down. Yeah.
Okay, what is there in civil service that a career in agriculture doesn't provide? Or you are not in agriculture now, you are an assistant, I put it that way. Okay.
It is definitely the diversity of the job and the leadership opportunities that it provides. Because in High Court job, it is mainly monotonous kind of job, but if I choose for civil service, it will help me to gain experience in a diverse sectors of the government, and it will enrich my work experience as well. So I think that is the main difference that I see.
Leadership roles.
Yes, ma'am.
you think bureaucrats are able to make a difference?
Yes, ma'am,
So
definitely.
far, you think so?
Yes, ma'am.
In what way? So you say some examples.
Ma'am, they are able to implement different policies as well as program.
They implement.
Yes, ma'am. As well as they play a role in formulation of these policies as well. Also, there are bureaucrats who are working at the grassroots level and they are encouraging more innovative ideas as well.
In the High Court, are you able to do any innovation in terms of the bureaucracy or the processes or the procedures?
Ma'am, currently I am working as an administrative assistant, so I have a limited power, but within that power, one innovation I have brought is I have tried to initiate some kind of online tracking of files. For example, there is about 500 files allotted to a section assistant, so I have entered them in alphabetic order in the Excel sheet, so I could easily trace it rather than going for the current system of entering it in a book. So whenever a file is asked, I could easily trace it. So that was one of the innovations that I have done.
There is one LIMS, Government of India has also introduced one, linking up all the CCMS and all. That has been done in Kerala?
Yes, ma'am. There is an e-code project phase 2, CMS. It is being done, but there is now both physical as well as the online filing of the cases. That is why we have to deal with this physical files.
Good question.
Yeah.
You have done?
So Devri have also applied for Indian Forest Service.
Yes.
If you are selected for both the services, which one would you opt for and why?
Sir, my preference is always Indian Administrative Service, and if I am selected for the both, I will choose IAS.
The
Why?
Reason, the Indian Forest Service, the work is mainly limited to environment, forest, wildlife and development sector, while IAS, it is more diverse. I could work in rural sector as well as the different diverse department of the government. So that is why I will choose IAS.
No, but
Is there
foreign
others?
service is giving, foreign service is also giving lot of chances now. From Ukraine they had this disaster management, shifting of the students.
Forest service.
Such a forest.
Forest.
Okay, forest is it. Okay, sorry.
So the prestige of IAS has nothing to do with the decision?
Ma'am, it is also there, but I am more attracted to the kind of experiences that I could gain as well as the value addition that I could do to the life of people of my country.
Okay.
Sorry.
So one more question. In your hobbies, you have mentioned that you've taken part in, you presented programs in radio and done some script writing.
Yes, sir.
So can you give me an example in which you can bring those skills and utilize those skills in say day-to-day administrative activities? Say in charge, HOD or head of a department in the government. So how you will be able to utilize those skills?
So today is an age of communication. There are many people who are not aware of different government programs as well as schemes that would benefit them. I have read a recent survey where there are about 64,000 families from poor background who don't know about the different welfare schemes of Kerala government itself. So through these communication activities, I could reach out to more people. For example, radio, it is very much accessible to the rural people. They listen to radio when they are working in the fields and rural farms. So it will help to increase the reach of the government programs.
Thank you.
Radio vis-a-vis social media, which do you prefer?
I will prefer both, but to engage with the rural community, I think radio is better. I think that is one of the reasons why our Prime Minister has chosen radio for communicating with people in the Man Ki Baat program.
You have heard of community radio?
Yes, ma'am.
There was a film also made. Are you aware of that? A very good film which went to Oscar also.
Sorry, ma'am, I am not aware of that film.
But community radio is popular in Kerala.
Yes, ma'am. I have worked in one radio. It was in Wayanad. It is called Machali 94.FM.
But that is not community radio. That is FM. Community radio is done by the community people.
Yes, ma'am. It was done by the Wayanad Social Service Society.
Okay.
It was limited to a 10-kilometer radius in the Wayanad area.
You are aware of the process by which permissions are given for community radio?
Ma'am, I think the permission from Information and Broadcasting Ministry has to be taken. I don't know much about the details of that.
But anybody has any other question? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Devipriya.
We would like you to give your feedbacks. Now you
Were you asked to remove your mask before coming?
Yes, ma'am, it was like...
No, did they tell you to remove your mask?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So would you go to UPSC with your mask?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. And supposing they don't tell you to remove the mask, and you come in with a mask, and you find half the people without mask, half the people with mask, what would you ask or do?
Ma'am, I will remove only if they ask me to remove. Otherwise, I will keep it and speak.
Okay.
Generally,
Perhaps
they
you
ask you to remove.
Perhaps otherwise you should ask them whether the board would like you to remove the mask. or not.
Generally, they tell you.
Yeah.
Because your voice gets muffled.
Voice gets muffled and non-verbal, your cues, that is missing if you're wearing a mask.
This is
Okay, that question that I wanted to give you, that answer that you gave was very good. Now, you can, there are different types of temples. There are different types of people, there are different types of situations. So, if it's a Devasam or a government temple, then this, whether you should go in for fully privatized development of cultural center happen. She didn't specify the type of temple. So, in many of these questions, you can bite time, you can give a better answer, and which is a real answer in a real situation. But it depends on the type of temple. Road, when you say an infrastructure company, it can always be, it has to be government, they are all public. It won't have that, the infrastructure company or the government is not going to invest in a private unless it's a special, extremely special circumstance. So it depends on the temple, and if it belongs to the government under the Devasam, then obviously even in that cultural center, you would go into a PPP because this belongs to the government, the land belongs to the government. Okay, so the private investment is brought in, it has to be brought in because they have the money, and as you rightly said, the government cannot invest everywhere or do it well.
For your own question, you want to give us some feedback?
Which was the question?
It was on the real problems experienced by farmers.
Yes, okay. So the real problem is actually marketing. You need input subsidy, as you said, seeds, grow bags and all that, but the crucial thing is marketing. And you must remember that the whole agitation of the farmers, because we don't have time, I didn't go into it. But that was all about marketing. And that is the key thing. You start producing, even industry, small scale industry, what's the problem they face? Marketing. So, and what you said is true in terms of better integration, as Madam said. Okay? So, our laws are good. So, you can bring out that it has to be effectively implemented, and you will work towards that.
Devipriya, I'll just give you 3 points because beyond that I think you will not take away. I liked the way you answered the question. Your demeanor is very calm. You answer quietly, clearly, calmly. So far, so good. My point of criticism is that you do not listen to the question properly. You just listen to the first part or to some part of the question, and then you are taking off on the answer without actually waiting to listen and remember the whole question. Right? You are also more comfortable in your own comfort zone when something is asked about your personal desires or your education or some hobbies, things like that. And also your comfort zone by way of qualification, your agriculture or your work experience, etc. The moment you are asked something outside that comfort zone, you are not just thrown off, you are visibly thrown off. Right? So infrastructure was one such where you seem not to have thought about much in general, and that showed. The critical thing is, in addition to what she said, I did not say that you have to have one option for each project.
Okay.
You could have had the same option for all the 3 projects. You could have had chosen 2 options to implement the 3 projects, but you tried, it was like, that match the following. You just tried to match one project to the other, which was not necessary. Your rationale there was a rationale. I personally may or may not agree with the rationale, but it went against the entire policy of government as it stands at present with regard to temples. And you didn't know why. So one suggestion for you, for the rest of the time that you have, please try to know more about things that you don't know. Okay, that is something. And for wishing the best of luck for your future also, you will have to deal with, and you yourself said diversity attracted you. You will have to deal with a lot of things which you don't know. All of us have done that. So that is something which, you should. I also felt, I'm not able to put my finger and maybe you can, I felt you were more interested in giving us a right answer or the correct answer rather than what you actually feel or what you actually think. I'm not too sure about that, but if that is so, it is not necessary. Nobody is interested actually in the judgment calls that you make. People are interested as to how you think, whether you think and whether you think analytically. So that is something which you can focus on. Those are the only 3 points I have to make.
Devipriya, by and large, a good interview, decent. Composure, you have a good composure, pleasant demeanor. I think if you're going to wear a mask and if they're not asking to remove it, you could be a bit more audible so that there is sufficient clarity in the way you speak. Apart from that, by and large, it's okay. And when is the interview?
So it is on May 24th.
So you could maybe focus on current affairs, read up on as many subjects as possible to widen your entire sphere. I think agriculture is by and large all right, but there were no technical questions asked in agriculture so far. So brushing up on agriculture also would be equally important.
Thank you.
All the best.
Okay. Devipriya, no?
Yes, ma'am.
So I think you are a good candidate. You were able to answer, but one thing everybody said, you should listen to the question fully. Because next part you were in the eagerness to answer well. You missed out on a few things. So just listen, and you can also take time. Suppose you want to do your thought. You take pause for a second, doesn't matter. Because you will get about 20 to 25 minutes to answer. You were talking about climate change a lot. In most of the answers of agriculture, you talked about climate change. Now because of, like when you are going, there will be a lot of rains also in Kerala. There are always disasters coming. You are talking too much of climate change. So you should brush up on climate change because see, you are attracting that.
Or don't talk about it so much.
If you know about climate change, good enough, because there may be questions on disaster management on Kerala. This is what I feel. Because of change and there is too much of temperature in Delhi. Kerala winds have started coming earlier. And the other thing, Western Ghat, because you are talking too much on this thing.
May I interrupt for a minute?
Yeah, please.
Were you doing that deliberately, that you are comfortable with climate change and you are attracting questions on climate change? Because it did sound that you are speaking a lot, so you know about it a lot.
No. Because speciality of Kerala agriculture is that we depend much on climate for agriculture.
So, but then climate change is different from monsoon and other things. So it may lead to some
maybe
question.
broader than you think.
Otherwise, your knowledge and the way you talked about, like one nation, one ration card. Now, I asked you how will you implement and what are the system weakness. So that point you did not answer correctly, because in the eagerness of talking more, somebody must have told you that you should give all points. Has somebody told you like that? In other mocks? Have you done other mocks?
Yes, ma'am.
So they generally sometimes they tell you, but my suggestion to you will be that pause, listen to the question what do they want to know? Because your knowledge test has been done. This is your thinking, the presentation, the way you react to a situation. You were very composed and all, like he said, you were very composed, you were good. In fact, I'll say that you are a good candidate, brush up on things. We didn't ask you anything on current affairs. You are in law field, we could have asked you on Criminal Amendment Act, what is your reaction to this? Too many changes are happening. Then other things related to law, we didn't ask you deliberately because you must have prepared on law issues. So be prepared, and you have given information service as your fourth choice above many others. So why on this? Because generally that is a very low priority service.
I liked her answer on the radio.
Yeah,
She brought in, the Prime Minister.
Yeah.
Where
Man ki baat, no, very good. You did a good job. In fact, I'll rate you as a very good candidate.
Thank you.
Yeah. ठीक है.
Yeah, I am fine.
Yeah, thank
All
you.
the best.
You have to ask anything from us?
No, ma'am.
Anything you would like to ask us on anything you would like to?
One doubt is regarding the eye contact because there
Eye
are
contact was quite okay, otherwise you would have
No, it was very good.
See, your demeanor is.
Okay.
What are you going to wear? Sari or salwar kameez?
So, ma'am, it is sari. No, ma'am, it is salwar.
Salwar kameez.
Yes, ma'am.
So then you don't put dupatta like this, you put it like this.
Oh, yes,
Okay.
definitely.
Why not sari?
I am not comfortable
Wear
because
sari. ठीक है, salwar kameez also
Is
there.
that so? That you wear a dupatta like this?
See, because it doesn't give a very professional look.
अच्छा.
थोड़ा उससे ठीक रहेगा. You will look more professional in that. Yeah. So rest all is okay.
Even I believe you have to, because that is the classic dupatta style.
That is a classic dupatta style. I didn't know that was expected.
नहीं, because ऐसे करके करने से you give the.
But you never moved, which was very good.
No, she was
You
very
stayed in terms of demeanor, in terms of body language.
Even your answers were very good. I mean, if I have to rate you, I'll rate you quite high. Everybody's answer sure. You are not flabbergasted. She did not fumble. She did not
fumble, she didn't, but I
And
wouldn't.
language also.
Yeah.
No
Choice
grammatical
of
errors. Yeah.
choice of words were also good.
Subject matter knowledge on things other than your own subject. PDS also threw you off, infrastructure also threw you off.
No, but ठीक है इसमें there is see these are all situational thing we ask
Yeah.
scenario planning and all so it's okay. चलो
All the best.
all the best. So you have been working since 2021.
21.
You have this is your first interview.
Yes, ma'am, this is first interview.
Good.
Thank you.